Welcome back to another episode of Hey Bucket Live. I'm your host, Sammy Glantz, and this week we have on Fresno State Bulldogs head coach, Linda Garza. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, Coach Garza. We are very excited to be able to chat with you today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
You guys had a great start to your 2020 season last year before, everything happened with the pandemic and we had to shut down. What was the identity of your team last season, and how have you seen that change in this 2021 season?
In 2020, we got to this position where we didn't realize, we knew we were good, and we got to a place where we were 21-4. We realized that every time we got behind in a game, we found a way to come back. We were able to beat number 3 Texas, and we were just on this roll heading into conference. And obviously that dreading March 14th day, you get into an airport, you're in Seattle, and you realize, okay, this is going to get shut down. So at that point, the health and safety of our student athletes as well as our staff became the number one priority. We sent everybody home, and we had no idea at that point that they'd be sent home for 10 months. And so the next day that we got to report back to campus was January 9th. And at that point, we had 30 days to get ready and play the number one team in the country. So unsettling, I would definitely say, anxiety, 100%. And now we're just having fun in this process. Every day we get to play is an opportunity to do something that was taken away from us. So we really take advantage of it. We learn from every failure and experience right now. We still have a lot of things we need to get better at, but I've definitely seen a team that has embraced this change. I'm just glad that they got their year of eligibility back, regardless of how people agree. It's just the ability that they have the opportunity to make that decision if they wanted to. And 4 of our seniors decided to come back. And I'm just glad that we, 1, get to work with them one more year. And 2, they get to kind of go out knowing this is their last year and embracing every opportunity that they still get. So I wouldn't say that we did it perfectly, but I would say that this was uncharted territory. We don't know what was going to keep them engaged, but I definitely am proud of what we were able to do, considering we were apart for 10 months. That's just so out of the ordinary. And we found a way, and we're having fun through this process.
So you guys had a great start to the season last year, and then you guys come into this year and you guys are unranked. You guys had so many votes though. So you're kind of at that 25, 26 spot. But it still kind of hurts. You got a little chip on your shoulder. Do you kind of feel that with your girls? Do you guys have kind of an underdog mentality at Fresno State?
Yeah, I think that's always been just Fresno State's mantra in all sports and athletics, even for football, anywhere, anytime, any place. That's the motto for the school. It's what we'll do. We'll go into anywhere for football, basketball, and it's always been that way with softball. We have a 30, 40-year tradition of always having a winning season. It's us and UCLA that have the most postseason tournament appearances. We've won a national championship as a mid-major and one of the only and few mid-majors since the new time that has one. And so we take a lot of pride in it. Our ego and our confidence was definitely, I would say, we felt that early when we didn't get that recognition. At the same time, we also understood we hadn't been preparing for 10 months. And, maybe we weren't meant to have a target on our back. And so, we took that challenge into opening weekend, and we struggled opening weekend. We didn't do what we were capable of doing, but at the same time, we were getting the kinks out. And now I believe what we're seeing is our talent come full circle and come out. And now it's kind of like, let's go take care of business. And so, things happen for a reason. Maybe that was our process. Maybe that's how we got to where we're at right now. And I'm just, like I said, every single week, there's things we need to get better at. And this group is open-minded enough to keep working at it. So as long as we have that mentality, that Bulldog mentality is going to show up. We have an underdog. We're going to take it. But we have a huge target on our back still in conference. Everybody still wants to take down Fresno State. It's always been that way. And we know that. And we're just going to take pride in that's the Bulldog way. When you're good, people want to bring you down. And we're going to do everything we can to play our game so that we come out on top and win a lot of ball games.
What is the Bulldog way? What does it mean to be a Fresno State Bulldog?
It's just blue collar work ethic and grit. And, you want to win at a championship level. everybody came here, including myself, and you're trying to leave something better than how you found it. And that's hard at Fresno State. I mean, we're not Southern California. We don't have a beach. We're not surrounded by the beach. We're not the Bay Area. And, we're Fresno. It's an agricultural place. It's blue collar work ethic. We work hard for our money. And it's not a destination place for everybody, but it sure as heck is one heck of a softball community. And we embrace it, and we love it, and we make sure that we try to represent it as best we can.
You grew up in Fresno, and your career led you to UNLV. You end up going to play college ball there, and then you kind of bounced around and coached at so many universities starting in 2002. When this job opened up and they asked you to come back and coach at Fresno State, was that just an absolute no-brainer for you?
Yeah, you just always have this envision. You grew up, and I was in that day and era, Margie Wright was never leaving. So I was never going to be the head coach at Fresno State. In my mind, she was going to live forever, and she wins, and nobody was ever going to take it over. So when she retired, that job came out open, and it was one of those things like, is it the right time? Where am I at in my career? They did an amazing job. Coach Ford took it over and obviously did an amazing job, and then earned herself the opportunity at Arizona State. And by this time, for me, I had done some work over at UC Riverside. We were recruiting California kids. I had this California and Fresno tie. I feel like it's a match made in heaven. I've had 3 athletic directors since being at Fresno State. We've had a ton of turnover and things that we do have in administration, but I believe that's just the mid-majors and people that are trying to bounce and get to potentially their next place. But it doesn't take away everybody's commitment to making Fresno State better. And so I love it here to be able to do what I do and get paid and being taken care of and supported by not only my department, but also by this university and this community. This is home. I've had the opportunity to coach in the SEC. I've coached in the Big Ten. And not to take anything away from any of those prestige and history of those conferences and being in a Power 5, there's something special about Fresno State. I get to do what I love in front of the people that I absolutely love. And I feel like I'm selling a product that I absolutely believe in. I'm proud of my career, and I'm proud to be able to be a Bulldog and represent it every day.
At the end of the day, it's all about all the life lessons that we learn from the game that we can translate, once we finally do hang up the cleats and translate those life skills into real life. What are some of the big lessons that you try to teach your girls about, not only the game, but how to live their life and continue being just amazing, successful women?
The goal is to build independent young women that can have the tools, in my opinion, to not only learn how to win ball games, but to take the lessons that sport teaches you and to be able to be successful. And when I say successful to me means happiness, peace, being able to take care of your family, to be able to be in a good, healthy relationship, to be able to work in an industry or something that you're proud of. It doesn't necessarily have to mean money. It doesn't necessarily have to be a title. I really believe that when they graduate here, they're ready for the real world. And I always say early in the recruiting process, and maybe this gets me in trouble or not, but there's going to be days that they really like me, and there's going to be days that they really love me. And then there's going to be days that I'm not their number one fan. And I think that's okay. And I think sometimes we forget that my role is to push them beyond their comfort zone. It's also to hold them accountable. And when you're doing those things, sometimes there's not some fun moments in there. And so I hope that over those 4 years, they've gained these tools that allow them to be strong, independent young women out there. And that's what I'm most proud of. I'm glad that I've been in it long enough that I get to see the fruits of all of the players that I've had an influence on, that have also had an influence on me.
What would you say your coaching style is?
Good question. I'm fiery. I'm little. You can't see it in this chair and probably this virtual thing. I'm only 5 feet tall. So in order to feel like I had a presence, I had to communicate, and I had to have a vision, and I like players that play with high energy. And with that, sometimes that energy can sometimes get redirected in a wrong direction because you're fiery. I'm definitely direct. I'm honest. And sometimes it's going to get me in trouble. You're always going to know where you stand. And one of the other things is, we're feisty. And I want to go and do the basic. My style of work is making sure we make the routine plays, that we're smart softball players. We make good decisions on and off the field. And we go and recruit talent to the best of our ability that fit a blue collar work ethic, because, we zip up our bags, we line them up, we line up our gloves, we sweep our dugout, we rake our areas. It's not always fun. We pick up our balls. Now we have managers, we have all things to do those things, but I just think there's something special. I was raised that you make your bed every day and you take care of those little things, and they'll take care of you in the long run. So, I still am a stickler with a lot of our structure that we have. And I think that is probably the biggest thing of having to evolve that, to make sure that we get everything we need from our student athletes, because that's not everything. I now give them some freedom and flexibility, and I have some alumni that'll be like, why aren't their shirts tucked in? And I'm like, guys, they do everything right. The shirt tucked in was more my thing. It's not this team's thing. And I think you have to find that balance as a head coach of where do you want to draw the line of non-negotiables and negotiable.
What are some of your favorite memories as a coach or along your journey in the softball world?
One of my weaker moments, I would say, when I was at the University of Arkansas, I was 23 years old, 24 years old. And I remember we were going on our way to the airport. And at that point, you had paper tickets. You printed them, and I had them. And we were looking, and it was a 3-part trip. So we left one place, had a middle destination, and then we came back home. And so we were on the middle destination, and I never checked the middle ticket. So obviously we got to our destination the right way. And then the middle ticket is what time we're supposed to leave to our second destination. But I checked the first and the back, because it's just a round trip place. So, but we're on our way to the airport. We already think we're leaving at 3:00. And I remember looking, and it goes 9 a.m. And I'm like, what do I do? This is 27 people and our flight's already left. So I tapped the assistant coach in front of me. At that time, it's Shannon Salzberg, who's a head coach now over at Monmouth. And I said, Salzy, is this ticket right? Like in my head, I just did I read it wrong? She's like, no. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So you feel 18 again, going into your coach's office to say, I really screwed up and I have no idea how to fix this. And so I went over to her, again, you're on the bus. Everyone thinks we're on time, we're going. And I know the plane has already left. We missed our flight. And I'll never forget it. This is why I say I was meant to be a Bulldog, and why I was glad it was a sink swim theory. She said, that is great. I'm going to be over here at the airport. You better figure out how I'm getting to Gainesville, Florida. And that is on you. And I was like, okay. And anyways, we solved it. We got a plane. We figured out how to get to Gainesville. We played University of Florida, and then we came home. That was one of those moments, though, as a young professional, where you screwed up and you had to own it. And then you had to solve it. And I was just glad that whatever I had learned as a student athlete prepared me for that moment at 24 years old to disappoint 30 people that were going to be impacted. So that was definitely one experience where I'm like, holy crap, this is going to be tough. And then I would say second, as a head coach, one of my favorite and fondest moments, I thought I knew everything when I took over at Wright State. I really believed I had my books, all the things that I had taken notes on, and, I knew what my rules were going to be. And then you get into it and you realize these young 18 to 22-year-olds don't really care what you know or what rule you have. They just don't like different. And I was different from what they had. And man, they fought me, and I didn't realize that. Why don't they like me? And you get to this place, as an assistant, most kids like you. You get to have really good relationships because you work with them so much one-on-one. As a head coach, you're the rule stickler. You're the one creating the boundaries and the expectations, and you're starting, you're not starting. So we weren't playing well. And then we got to conference, and I sat them down and I said, okay, I got to figure this out. I'm a winner and you guys are winners. And at the end of the day, I know we still want the same thing. And we committed to just having fun, them giving up their wanting to control, me giving up my wanting to control. And we got to this place of a level of respect and having fun together. And how could we beat these other teams? And we found a way, and we won, and we found a way to win the conference tournament. And, we won a Horizon League title and we went to the NCAA tournament. And, I was just so proud of my own growth, but I was proud that they had an experience that they could be proud of when they could have put their heads down and said, oh, we lost our head coach. We got a new head coach. We don't like the new change. And just their ability to have that resiliency and to trust me, I think 100% gave me confidence that I could be good at this. And that part is big to me because I think still like a student athlete, you want success to believe that you can be good at what you're doing because you want to be good at it.
What are some of the biggest lessons that you feel you have learned as a coach?
I grew up still in an era that you just did what you were told. And I grew up in a household that you do what you're told. And I still feel like that's a big part of how I am in our department. If you tell me that this is what our department is, I'm just going to follow the rules and I'm going to do what you're supposed to do. Sometimes I don't try to buck the system. I may ask why do we do it? But at the end of the day, if the answer is this is how we do it, you go and do it. And what I'm learning though, is that sometimes young students are just asking to ask because it's a world of curiosity. And before, it used to be like, don't ask me, it was a sign of disrespect. And I feel like we've had to learn that. I've had to learn that somebody asking me isn't always asking me to question. It's asking just to ask or maybe know the logic or philosophy behind it. I feel like that has been a huge part. Relationships, before you didn't, you separated things. And I grew up separating, what you did and then what you do. And now, social media, everything, it's kind of blended all of your worlds. So that's new. And I think that any of us new coaches that are getting into it, they're better at relationships. Like the new 25-year-old coach is better at social media than I am. They're comfortable sharing all sides of their life, their family, their kids on top of their sport. And so I feel like they're sometimes at a greater advantage than a few of us. I don't want to say old timers, but I'm definitely following in that category. So the quicker that we can get to blending those relationships get built. And the relationship is where you build trust that, hey, I want to open your stance. I want to change your swing. Without the relationship, you can't get to changing their swing. And in the past, you used to just go in there and be like, I'm going to change your swing. And they would just say, okay, yes, coach. Now it doesn't work that way. So that's the part that I would say I'm still trying to get better at and still trying to grow.
What would you say are some of the biggest aspects that you look for in your potential recruits?
One, the blue collar work ethic. You need to have some sort of level of toughness and willing to really get your hands dirty, because at the end of the day, we're still a mid-major program. A lot of us are going to see our facility, and it's still in California, probably the best in the country. And aside from maybe Oregon's, we still are up there in the best of the West Coast with Washington. We get a huge fan base, so sometimes it feels SEC-ish. We were the SEC before there was an SEC. That's what I say. Like, it was a $2.5 million stadium built in 1996. Now Texas A&M is spending $26 million. Well, it would probably cost us $15 million to build what we have right now. And to think that we build it in California, paying California taxes, paying California land fees, you can't buy it. There's a big difference between buying a house in College Station and buying a house in California. And that's remarkable to think that in the 90s, Fresno State was that. So to circle back on recruits, I like this athleticism. I like kids that can run a little bit. I understand that sometimes we're going to get some athletes that they're missing a big tool, like one of the tools. So for example, if we want to have arm strength, athleticism, speed, power, maybe what we get is somebody who's one of a power 5 hitter and a mid-major defender, and, or a power 5 defender, but a low mid-major at bat. And so what you realize is, okay, this is going to be an incredible shortstop. I'm willing to take it here. And we might only hit 220 from that position over 4 years, but I'm going to surround her with so many hitters that's going to work, because she's going to save so many games on defense. And I think sometimes in coaching, you have to know what you're willing and what you're willing to sacrifice in a recruit. And when I say sacrifice, just to fit the highest puzzle piece that you can get. And then we have some role players that, that play a very backup role. They know it. And I think that's a hard role to come in and play these days because everybody wants their slice of the pie. And so to be able to echo that every day, what I ask athletes to be is hitting gets you in the lineup. So for sure, number one, we got to make sure we can hit. And then we got to take care of the big positions. So we got to take care of the middles. We got to take care of the pitcher, the catcher, and center fielder. And then we can have some secondaries where we can float some, like I would say, one-dimensional athletes that can get in there. So that's what we've had success with. Pitching. We've been fortunate that we've always had somebody that keeps us in the ball games. And right now, Haley Dulcini, with earning 3 consecutive Mountain West pitching, we've been watching Haley play since she was 16 years old. I recruited her, and so did Coach Cox. We recruited her to UC Riverside, and that's ended up where she ended up going because it was right on the transition of I took the Fresno State job. And, after that experience, we called the Riverside coach and we had heard that she was back on the market and on the transfer portal. And we thought, hey, we've always liked this kid. We think she could do great things at Fresno State. And seeing what Haley Dulcini has been able to do on this bigger stage has been pretty remarkable. And those are the success stories that I'm excited about because she is exactly where she needs to be. And she's leading us in a direction we're trying to go.
Well, I am so excited just to see where the rest of your guys' season takes you. And hopefully we can beat up on some pack schools and get back in that top 25. Let's go.
I'm excited. Our goal always is stay negative, but stay positive as a team. And so it's stay negative so that we can get through our COVID test. But I can't thank you guys enough for the platform that you guys, one, gave our university, but more importantly, what you give the sport of softball. So thank you for having our softball communities back and giving them what they need. Our job is still to be a profession of service. And so our job as coaches is to serve the young community and put them in positions that they can go and compete in this awesome game while getting an education. So I'm just glad that I get to be part of that process. And thank you guys for creating a platform for it.
Thank you so much, Coach. But before we let you go, this is a Hey Bucket signature that we're gonna sneak in here. But I'm just gonna ask you 3 quick speed round questions, and we'll just have a little fun with it.
Okay.
All right, sweet. So since you are a Fresno native, what is your go-to restaurant in Fresno?
My cousin would want me to say Casa Corona because that's what he owns. But I love me some Doghouse, so I'm going to Doghouse.
Let's go. What is that barbecue food or what kind of food is that?
Barbecue, pulled pork. You have tri-tip. It's amazing. It's a barbecue place. Definitely a barbecue place.
All right, there you go. Doghouse. Let's go. All right. Second question. If you could give yourself a piece of advice now and tell yourself your younger self, what advice would you give? Be patient and listen. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Be patient and listen. Yeah. Just you want it now. Everybody wants it now. You read a book, you want to implement the book now. And, you get a tip of advice, you want it now. You get a good recruit, you want them to be good now. And sometimes the process is actually where the growth is. And that's the success is the process. And we get attached to sometimes the result. So the patience is, and like we're trying to always say is let's be patient in this process, to get where we want to go. And then to listen. And to me, the listening is the feedback of what others have to say, as well as the feedback that the game itself or the profession itself gives you. That's just feedback. I think failure is just feedback. And as long as you can learn from it and listen from it, I believe you can make adjustments. And as long as you're willing to continue to grow, that would be definitely is be patient and listen. Linda, be patient, and Linda, listen. So I might have to re-listen to this podcast or this with you guys and be able to watch it again, because I may remind me at some point in the career, that you guys are like, hey, remember what you told me? And I was like, screw it. I don't want to listen to that anymore.
Yeah, everyone check out fastpitchfilms.com so we can re-listen to it over and over again. And as well as you, Coach Garza, so you can get this advice to yourself again. All right, last question. But year after year, this season excluded, but you guys always have some of the most fans in the country, and especially in California, Fresno State Bulldogs. But how big is Coach Garza's fan club?
It's pretty darn big. So, I have a section that is we get tickets, but I have a section that's actually on top of the visitors dugout. My dad, I'm fortunate, it gets to still come to every game and he gets to be a part of it. My mom got to see me coach at Fresno State. I lost my mom. She passed away of cancer after my first season. And so, it's just neat to be able to look to this one place because it took me 20 years to be in a position that they get to see me. I didn't play in a hometown area, so that's pretty neat. My brother comes. He has a family of 4 kids. They're in high school. One's at a junior college. He plays baseball. And I'm going to tell you, they know every player. My brother watches every game right now in the pandemic at home. And my dad is beyond the fence, and he has found a way to be beyond the fence and still find a way to watch things. And it's amazing. I'm blessed. I'm lucky. I have aunts, cousins, that just, they make this home, and it's why it's a special place. And I'm just glad that I get to share what I love with people that I love.
What an incredible story that you have, and to see it go full circle. And now you're back in Fresno and coaching and leading these young women. It's so incredible to see. So thank you so much for being such a great leader and for everything that you've done for the game. It's very, very much appreciated. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching. For more content like this, be sure to check out fastpitchfilms.com. I'm your host, Sammy Glantz. See you next time.